Happy Veterans Day, everyone. It's Monday. For most people, it's a holiday. It's a 3-day weekend. I'm currently celebrating my, 5,000th 3-day weekend because I don't have a job. But I do respect everyone who's in the military or served. And today I thought I would talk about performing for the troops in the Middle East, because I have done it and I've gone abroad, and I'm going to tell you about that experience because it was probably one of the highlights of my comedy career. So here we go. As a comedian, I've said this before, you want to perform everywhere you can, and that never stops. I feel like, in fact, I see it still to this day. In fact, I was at Flappers Comedy Club last night, and there was a comedian. I don't want to say her name, but she's somewhat famous, and she comes in there to try out new jokes. And I'm in the Yoo-Hoo room, and it was packed, and it's a pretty easy room, and people are there to laugh. So when you try out new jokes, new material, it's kind of easy to get a response. And I told my friend Darren, hey, she's fine. I have nothing against her. I'm not going to say her name. But when I do new stuff, I'm out in these, hellhole towns across California. I am working my ass off trying to get better. And I cannot wait for the day I can just perform for just, great crowds. My point to this is you want to perform for every room possible to get better as a comedian. So I think back in 2011, I want to say, I was offered to go abroad to perform for the troops, part of the America's, Armed Forces Entertainment. That's it. And my buddy Adam Hunter, who's an established comedian, so they're going to Mike Circlin and myself, we all went abroad, and we had a tour manager too. And Adam was the headliner, and he calls me up and he's like, dude, do you want to go perform for the troops overseas? And I had no idea what that meant. I was kind of scared because when you hear performing for the troops, I was like, oh, we're going to go to Afghanistan and just perform in war zones, and which is possible. That's entirely possible. I've heard of comedians doing that. But our tour consisted of, and I'm probably missing many places. We were in Africa, Djibouti. We were in Oman. We were in Riyadh, Dubai, Qatar. We were all over the place, and this was I think it was a 2-week or 3-week tour, and it was paid decently, and it was tax exempt. Thank you USA, and we just went, and I had no expectations. I was like, well, let's see what happens. If you're a comedian or any type of entertainer, and if you have the opportunity to go abroad and perform for the troops, do it. Definitely do it. One, look, yeah, you're doing a service for the troops, but they are great audiences. It was an amazing time. I have nothing bad to say. It was kind of exhausting, and basically the hardest thing for me was just getting my passport in order, right? Because you have to get your passport. The trip came really fast. My buddy Adam was like, dude, we're leaving in 2 or 3 weeks, so you got to get this shit done. So got my passport stuff taken care of, and we flew right to, I think Djibouti was our first stop. And basically, there's a person at every base. You get to see army bases across the world, which, I was never in the military. So for me, this was all a great experience, seeing these army bases and how they're run. And for anybody who's actually performed or who served in the army or whatever, you already know this, but there are so many differences, so many levels of army bases. Whether you're some of them were just in the middle of deserts, others looked like hotels. They were so nice. I think the one in Dubai was super nice. And we went to Djibouti, and as soon as you touch down, the military assigns you someone to take you around. You have a carrier person, a go-to person who takes care of you, puts you in a van, makes sure you get to the right locations. And that was the most exhausting thing from this trip. again, I'm just like putting these thoughts together, was the traveling. Because you're always traveling. Like you're in one country the next, one country, Africa, then you're in like the Middle East the next day, then you're in, Riyadh the next day. Like it's just an exhausting time. So I think that was the hardest part because in addition to the travel, you would have to perform at nights. So I was doing like these 20, 25-minute shows, totally jet lagged. But these shows were so good. Like we go to these bases and the troops are just ready to go. And there was always like a general there from the base who like watched the show. And you could tell who the general was because like he'd be kind of the stoic guy in the front row and not really laughing as much, but he'd always like talk to us at the end. And then he'd give us like this coin. I don't know what the coin means, but it's like an entertainment thing where they give you a coin as like an appreciation, and the coin has like a symbol from the base. I'm probably totally butchering this. It's probably not even correct, but I still have those coins to this day. I never save anything, but I saved all my coins from these different bases. So we went to these different places, and for me, traveling abroad was just not only just experiencing the troops and performing for them, but you get a world perspective. Like, I hate talking about politics, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but man, this was like, 9/11 was still pretty fresh. 2011 still in like some of these countries. And I remember during the day, sometimes we'd have time to like walk through the city, always with like a security person, right? Armed security person. So we walked through Riyadh, which is hardcore, very strict. There was a place called Chop Chop Square in Riyadh where they behead people. That's what. Anyways, I remember walking through this bazaar and people had carpets, right, celebrating 9/11 of like plane crashing the buildings, and I was like, oh my God, seriously, like some of these countries some of these people hate America, and I was like, man, whatever we have to do to make sure that we're on number one, so be it, because. Man, seeing it on TV is one thing, but actually going to these countries and seeing these people firsthand, which, look, again, God bless everyone. I'm for human rights and everything. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is some countries, some people really hate us in the world, and, America, the military, they're keeping us safe, and you have to appreciate that. But again, let's go back to the comedy. The comedy shows in each of these bases, super fun. Some of these bases we slept in like these tents, and that was a trip because we got to see the troops every day. Like when we like use the bathroom, like the communal bathrooms, or like we got to eat with them, which was awesome. Just being able to walk through and eating in the cafeteria, and then I'd see like the special forces team like walk through who were like these jacked up dudes. So I was just blown away. And they treat you so well. Like after the shows, well, during the day, again, I'm all over the map here. During the day, you got to meet the troops. So you'd go to these functions and like shake hands with them and meet the, certain troops on bases and meet them, at their stations for the guys who couldn't watch the show at night. So you kind of make the trip to them. And then you'd go perform at night for, in like under a tent somewhere for like, 100, 200 people. And, they're always a great show. Again, the hardest thing was just the energy of performing, because I don't think people realize how exhausting it is to do comedy while you're traveling. So every day was like, God, I got to like make it through one more show. Because as a comedian, you used to just like sleeping like 11 o'clock every day. Then you have like energy to like, write, get a coffee. When you're traveling for the AFE, man, they got your schedule locked down. Like you're here this time, you're here at this time, there at another time. But the way I saw it was like, how many times am I going to be able to do this? So it was a great opportunity, and whatever they needed me to do, I would do for sure. No complaints. And after the show, we would sit down with me, Adam, and Mike, and we'd sign autographs. Like we brought some pictures and take photos. And again, they were so appreciative of the troops. And some of these guys are my fans to this day. Like they still write my Facebook or like follow me on Instagram. So just a total blast. And I would definitely go back again. In fact, here's a quick story. We took an amazing... Oh, by the way, There's a video, if you go on YouTube, it's called Tarun Performs in the Middle East or something. There's a whole video. I made a documentary, like a 5-minute thing about me performing on this trip. So you can watch it there. And sometimes the troops would like show us like these really cool things. Like they put us in like this, we met like this, like the guy who trains the canine dogs who like chases down like bad guys. So they put this in like these suits and like sampled, and they were like, "Oh, run down this like little dirt path," and the dog like chased us and like took us down. We were protected because we were wearing these protective suits, but we got to like sample like what it's like being a terrorist. Other times I remember they showed us like these like Hummers and like weaponry, like it was like being on GI Joe's base, and of course we were idiot comedians. We took like photos and like put on like Facebook or Instagram, and we got like a message like literally like in 30 seconds, like, take this off your social media. This is like confidential weapons. We're like, oh, sorry. We're just dumb comedians apparently. So again, they were awesome to us, and just you get to experience and see a lot. And I think people who have those excuses. I mean, I know a lot of comedians who just refuse to perform overseas. They're like, oh, dude, I don't want to go down in a helicopter. Dude, you have no idea what you're missing out on, because I think this is a rare opportunity. As a comedian, you're here to, I think, you're here to help and provide a service and make people happy, and giving back to the American troops, it's a great thing. So we finished the last show. I keep remembering stuff. Sometimes we would fly between countries, and the airports were so nice to us because they knew we were like American comedians. They would just upgrade us to first class. So like many times, like on Qatar Airlines and stuff, it was like me, Mike, and Adam in first class, because they were like, you know what, who cares? You guys are bumped up, you're Americans, whatever. I don't know what it was, but sometimes we got luxury treatment from these international airports. So they were super cool to us as well. So yeah, that was the trip. Adam and Mike are still like my best friends to this day. I was Adam's groomsman. I'm going to Mike's wedding, Thanksgiving. So like, it was just a great bonding experience, and we had a great time. It was just an unbelievable time. And I remember writing a joke. I wrote a lot of military jokes, because when you're performing, you just can't help but write jokes for the troops. And I was like, what did I say? Here's a joke. I was like, oh, I hooked up with a military chick while I'm on the base. I don't want to give too many details, but I had a premature honorable discharge, and it's kind of dirty, whatever. But, I got a cheap laugh for the troops, and it's just a blast. So we came home. I was exhausted. My parents thought I actually was in the military because they were like so happy I was safe. And I was like, Mom, it's fine. I wasn't in any danger at all. It was fun. And, I missed out on the next tour because I was working a day job, but so happy that I had the opportunity to be a part of the AFE's tour, and maybe I'll get to do it again one day. I think a lot of these guys, comedians, do it. Like Robin Williams did it all the time. Bob Hope, who's a legend, the guy did hundreds of military comedy shows. So I don't know if I can ever get to that level where I can go over there as like a special treat. I would do it for sure in a heartbeat, because they were amazing, and really respect and love the American military. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Hope you guys have a great day and a great week ahead. See ya. Bye.